That's where we were at 6 o'clock this morning. The starting line of the Space Coast Marathon
And half
and
marathon.
half. Oh my gosh, how did we get there? Why were we doing something so crazy?
Because you turned 50 and you had this crazy idea to run a marathon for your birthday.
Well, the basic idea is I wanted to turn 50 and be fitter than I've ever been in my life. And then, that was just kind of a goal over the last year or two. And good way to demonstrate that is to run a marathon. Seeing as like growing up, I could run back and forth on a soccer field, but not miles.
Okay, so we before this point really have not identified as
No.
runners. Our friend, so Elliot and Anne are on the thing. Anne is amazing. She is like a dopey dopehead. If you don't know what
not
the
not
dopey,
that kind of dope. Means.
not a dopehead, she's dopey.
Our brains are still a
Yes,
little
they
bit
are.
of.
But she's super dopey. If you don't know what that is every year at the Walt Disney Marathon, they do this dopey challenge. Like on
5K one day, 10K the next day, half marathon the third day, full marathon the fourth day. She's done it every year that Disney has done
and
that.
she wasn't a runner before she started to do this, and she's honestly my inspiration for doing this. Well, Chris is too, but
Yes.
but Chris, we did Couch to 5K about 12
years
years
ago,
ago, and I had to bail out because my ankles were not holding up to it. But you continued on, and you actually did
Did
eight
some
tough
running. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
8 tough miles in the Virgin Islands and did this Space Coast Marathon when I turned 39. I decided I was going to be my birthday present to my body when I turned 39. So 11 years ago, I ran the half marathon, having never done a run longer than 5 miles before.
8 miles.
Oh yeah, 8 miles.
Tough
I did the 8
miles.
tough miles, but yeah, had no training. And I did that. We signed up 8 days in advance. Sheree walked it. I ran it. Barely survived, but it was an amazing experience. But
It
then
was.
running kind of faded away until
You've done some periodic runs like we did. There was a half marathon here in Sanford about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
We were here the first time
Yep.
that you did. It was more like slogging through mud.
It was a trail run. It was
Yeah,
very muddy.
and I again walked that. You ran that.
Half ran because that was too muddy.
Yeah, it
to
was
even run.
slogging through mud run.
But
And then during the pandemic, we both, I mean, like everyone, we focused on cheesecakes and how to make them in the Instapot and not necessarily physical activity. And
Yeah.
we very early on decided this was not sustainable. So we committed to closing our rings every single day on our Apple Watches back in 2020, late 2020.
Yeah, and so that got me back into running and back into doing a lot of walking and stuff. And I guess basically right around October last year, for my birthday last year, I set out to do a run every Sunday, no matter what, usually 3 to 6 miles.
Mm-hmm.
But that 6 miles was about as far as I would do, and it's the had never even contemplated long distance running
Again. And I last spring decided to try Couch to 5K again. Since going gluten free, a lot of my issues with arthritis went away. And I got into Couch to 5K and did really well with it. I got up to being able to run 20 minutes at a time, which about a mile and a half-ish range. Not a great pace, but I was doing it. And then I had a little bit of a hip injury over the summer doing that, and decided, okay. So when he announced, this was back in mid-September, we were in St. Louis with your parents, and we had decided to come back early from the van trip to Florida.
And so I was like, hey, I wonder if the Space Coast Marathon is still going on and if it lines up, and maybe that's something I could set as a goal and do the half marathon again 11 years later and, see if I can beat my time from 11 years ago and actually hopefully beat it substantially because I want my goal of entering my 50s fitter than I've ever been.
And somehow you clicked the marathon button instead of the half marathon
when I was checking out, they have so the half marathon is this price, and for $20 more you could do the marathon, and they make it clear that it's optional. You could, like, if you do the half and you get to the halfway point of the
you
marathon, you could divert and finish with the half marathoners and get the different medal, and they're perfectly fine with that. And it's only $20 to keep the option open, and I like keeping my options open. So I was like, hey, $20, I'll sign up, and if I'm feeling good, I'll run the half, and then maybe I'll walk the second half. Maybe I put that as my stretch goal. And when I signed up, Sheree's like,
okay, sign me up for the half. I'll walk it again. I will actually train. We had 2.5 months until race day. I said I will actually train this time instead of just going out and trying to walk a half marathon, and get back into at least walking at a fast pace. And then the Galloway method.
Yes.
Which is what Anne uses for that dopey challenge. It's a run, walk, run method. And that's kind of how you start with the Couch to 5Ks. You're doing these running intervals for 30 seconds at a time, and then you walk for a minute or two, and then repeat. So I was already used to that. I knew I was able to do that. And my hip was feeling better. So I went out and just tried it on a morning walk. You were going out for your
Yeah,
training run.
because
I told you you were doing training runs this
uh-huh.
time.
Right. So other than just my Sunday, we started
Hmm.
doing 3 runs a week, and that was the best gift that Shree could give is we will train together and
Hmm.
became this like as a team thing and a partner thing. So I'm like doing longer, faster runs, but it was a thing we would get up and do together and compare notes
Hmm.
afterwards, and then we started researching this training method, and she dove into it. Was like, hey, I think this makes it possible for me to run.
Right. So I started being able to do 2 miles, then 4 miles, and I'm researching it more and more.
And it's not just like a wimpy way to run; it's serious running.
It is, and serious runners do it. Jeff Galloway was an Olympian, and he was training a lot of runners. And he actually found that people who were used to running half
All out,
marathons
yeah.
and marathons all out, doing all running, when they switched to this run, walk, run method, their speeds actually increased because you're not getting into the fatigue because you're constantly cycling your
Shifting the
muscles,
muscles, yeah.
and you're using different muscles, so you're
Yep.
avoiding fatigue, you're reducing injury.
Mhm.
I liked all those things, especially for him approaching a full marathon
Well, yeah.
now.
So we tried it. So I was still training. I was like, I did my 10 mile training run, just running all out. I'm perfectly fine running. I figured I could run the half, but then I was like, okay, I'll try this too. It's working for you, and so I did a long 16 mile was my first long or
I think
12 mile. It might have
yeah.
been a 12 mile. And I did it. Let me try the run, walk, run, and it's like, wow, my speed's actually faster, even though I'm mixing in little segments of walking. So I settled on run for 90 seconds, walk for 30, run for 90
Mhm.
seconds, walk for 30, and have kind of that strict pace. And speed up, your muscles cycle, and it kind of works. So that's how we did for the long training. And we both ramped up so much faster than I could have imagined. The marathon went from being a stretch goal to like, I think I could do this.
And I went from I'm not just going to walk this half marathon. I'm going to run it. And so yeah, I got up to doing a 10K, which I'd never done before in my life. I think my lifetime I had maybe done 1 or 2 5Ks when I was like in high school, and I was then at that point like a competitive swimmer, so I was pretty fit back then. Yeah, that I was now doing a 10K and being able to keep this pace. So I found that I could do 30 seconds of running, 30 seconds of walk and repeat. And then when I did longer stretches, I would go back to 15 seconds, 30
Yeah.
seconds, and mixing it up. And slowing down because endurance is different than going for speed. And when we came up to 2 weeks ago was the final long training run. We had to shorten the run, the
The
official run,
schedule,
the
yeah, because we
schedule,
did
but
this all in 2 months. She went from
his
like
fault.
next to nothing to
I did 12 miles without difficult. I came out of it excited and actually went and walked out a mile to bring him extra fluids because he was doing his
I was
first
doing 22,
22.
and I finished the 22 thinking I think I could finish 26, but holy crap, the 20 she was like jumping up and down after the 12, and I was like after my 22, I was like, oh, what did I sign up for? I was like, oh goodness. Um,
Oh, and keep in mind, during this 2.5 months of training here in Sanford, we also had Hurricane Ian, and there were about 3 weeks of severe flooding here, in which we had to go to the training run route
we had to
with
get to shore in galoshes,
bushes.
change to our running shoes in the van, and then go run. And we're doing this at like crazy o'clock. We were going out at 5 in the morning before the sun's even
Hmm.
started to rise because you're running 22 miles. That's 4 hours. Holy crap! And over four. The 22 mile took me 4 hours and 44 minutes. So it's like you're running with a flashlight and down the night. And they have beautiful water lakefront trail here. So
Once we get to, because a lot of it was
yes,
flooded,
yeah.
so yeah, so
Yeah.
that added a little bit of the
Yeah.
crimp in the a challenge in the
Yeah.
challenging of training anyway. And then we had a second hurricane. So we've not really updated on YouTube. If you're following Facebook, then you know that we had Hurricane
Hurricane
Nicole
Nicole,
as
which
well a
was
couple
really
weeks
actually
ago.
still pretty. It didn't flood again here,
Hmm.
but it did raise the water again a little bit, and it was actually really bouncy in the marina. We did okay, but other
Hmm.
boats actually had more damage from Nicole than they had from Ian. So
Yeah, so yeah, we had a couple sleepless nights from going through both of those. The challenges of dealing with a flooded area, and we
still
still got
we got
through.
up and would do our training runs, even if it's like drizzle from
Mhm.
hurricane and stuff. So we like that's where she like was amazing. It's like I want to sleep,
And I'm like,
and
no,
she's like, nope, training day, we got to go, and she's was like amazing, and like and we did it as a team, and it was
it's awesome. So happy birthday.
yes, best birthday present ever. Um,
I tell him that for his birthday I got a sexy leg job.
her
So
legs are looking really fine.
so are yours. So we got sexy leg jobs for his birthday. We just skipped the surgery.
Yes. So,
So today's race was very challenging, actually. I went into it after having done that 12-mile one just 2 weeks ago, feeling fantastic. Um, it was much warmer today than it was predicted.
10 days ago, the forecast for today's race was like 49 degrees with like a high of
Perfect.
71.
Which
It's
would
like
have been
start in nice
perfect.
cool temperatures and have the high 71 with overcast and a breeze. It was like perfect dream running conditions. Instead, it was low of 71, humid, muggy. There ended up not being hardly any clouds, and it got up to like 84, and there was no breeze. It was brutal conditions.
Oh, it was brutal. So I started out. I don't like heat. I don't like the sun. I mean, I love the sun. It does great things, but I don't like to be in the sun. You see red hair. Mom has red hair. I come from redheads. We don't do sun. So it was really hot. So I don't know how I kept my pace and actually beat my 12-mile run pace, because it felt like
Roasting.
I was roasting, and I felt like I walked a whole bunch more because I found that for timing on my watch, 'cause I haven't found the right interval app that I like yet to give me little beeps when to switch. I found 20 seconds running, 40 seconds walking is much easier to calculate on my watch and just watch the seconds. And I did that.
Oh,
whoop, don't kick the camera.
Okay, hey, wait. That was exciting.
Okay. All right. How did you do that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I guess, okay,
You're
the leg is
kicking,
right over
yes.
there. Okay.
I wasn't able to keep up with it. So I was like running 20 seconds and needing to walk a minute and a half. But my pace was, so I must have been running faster and walking faster just with the race energy.
Yeah.
But so my first 9 miles were rocking. I was like keeping a fantastic pace.
Could you imagine that?
But when I saw the sun coming up and that there were no clouds and that this street was not nearly as shaded as I was used to training in, I knew I was going to have a problem towards the end of the race. So I went against all training convention, and I actually I went ahead and allowed myself to push for those first miles when I knew it was going to be cooler and less sunny, and knowing that I was going to be losing energy anyway with the sun, whether I was going into it tired or not. So I ended up walking like 2.5 miles of it, fast pace with just a couple sprints in it, and then I ran, whatever, the last mile. And I ended up with a pace of 15:03, and my prior best pace for when I did the 12-mile was 15:11. So somehow it worked for me.
You got faster.
I don't know.
It could be the race energy. Here's us at the starting line at 6 o'clock in the morning, and that's where the little countdown was. And here's what is this? This is here's the crowds taking off in the morning. It was kind of. That guy in front of us, he had a bib on saying he is running his 99th marathon this year, not of his life, this year. So there's some intimidating runners out there, but it was kind of fun starting before dawn, and yeah.
So how was your race experience?
So my race experience, it was because it was so crowded here at the start. Instead of starting off immediately with the run 90 and walk 30, I just ran actually the first 5K just to kind of break free from the pack rather than just to be dealing with the full crowd. So I kept a slow running pace, but 11-minute mile, and did well and got out, and the sun started to rise, and where's the sun rising? Yeah. Along the road here.
It's a beautiful waterfront trail. It's all along the Indian River.
Yeah, they close down the roads. They do an amazing job closing everything down.
They really did. And you get a view, so you start north. I did the half marathon that starts north, and the full marathon starts north from Cocoa Village. And you can get a view of the VAB as you're towards the end of the trail, which is pretty cool. The Vehicle Assembly Building, which is really cool.
Yeah, so it was like that. And here's actually some... people on the trail. This is kind of like running along here. It's kind of hard to film. I pulled my camera out a couple times and got little clips, but this is when the racers had already reached the turnaround point. So the basic path is for the route we did, we go north 6.5 miles, get a turnaround, go back to the start, and then go south if you're doing the full marathon, you go south 6.5 miles and then come back to the start. And then they had 2 different half marathon course options that you can choose,
North or south.
north or south. The north one kind of
Has hills.
has
I had
hills.
not trained on hills.
Yes, and
Mean.
has hills, and it also means that you're running away from the sun before the sun rises, but then you're running into the sun once it's there shining in your face.
I should have done the south route.
Yeah, the south route. But the ultimate reason for doing.
Oh, this is a bad photo of me. Oh no,
that's the
no,
finish.
no, you didn't put in the photo.
I didn't put the little kissing shot. I didn't. Okay.
No, so we actually got to around my mile 6. He was turning around and we crossed, and so we were able to actually sneak in a kiss at the water booth.
So it's like she was heading north. I was heading south. The one thing I discovered, because like doing this run, walk, run, and there's so many because the Galloway method Galloway is the official trainer of Disney, and so many people around here are training for the Disney Marathon and whatever. So a lot of people are doing run, walk, run, and they actually had official pacers in the race who were leading. They'd hold up their time and would run, showing with a set pace and walking formula. And I kept finding the 5 hour and 15-minute pace group. I'd pass them, they'd pass me, I'd pass them. There's all this traffic. So I eventually, it's like, well, they're seeming to be doing 60-30. I'll just join them so I don't have to pay attention to my watch and not think about it. And that actually worked out really well. I kind of latched onto that 5:15 pace group and stayed with them until the first half finished. I felt really strong in the first half marathon. And then I knew I could do that. And then it got harder and harder as the sun got higher, and I drifted back from that pace group as the second half continued. Meanwhile, I'm like watching on my phone to see Cherie finish, and
that's you finishing.
There's Cherie finishing. Yes.
Yeah. So you finished this. I finished in 3 hours and 18 minutes total. So you've just run for 3+ hours, and they hand you this thing. This is not little. This is not light.
These are ridiculous medals. they're like stained glass. You could actually see through them.
They're beautiful.
They're beautiful. But what do you do with them?
Yeah, so you're supposed to wear them like on your first day, but what do you do with them after that? That's what I don't know. We live on a boat. We live in a van.
So anybody who's got running experience, what do you do with all these metal-y things?
Yeah.
And apparently, if you do the next 4 years of races at the Space Coast Marathon, they'll give you 2 extra medals. So if you wear them all, you'll have 6 of these things. And if you fall in the water, you'll drown.
Totally. I don't quite understand that. So I finished, and then I had to wait 2 hours for him to get done.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the best part. So we took the van over. We did a week on the road. We did some personal vacation time. Then we family time. Celebrated his 50th birthday with both of our parents. And then on Saturday, that's over on the west coast of Florida. We had to drive across state over to Cocoa Village.
And rather than come back to the boat or anything, we just drove right to Cocoa Village.
And picked up our race packets.
And parked. Found a parking spot.
And
at the starting line almost.
Yeah, we decided just to stay overnight. There were probably 5 or 6 other vans in our parking lot. Never mind. I didn't go look to see what they're scattered around town.
Yeah, because they're telling people to get to the parking lot at 3:30 or 4 in the morning. And we're like, no, we'll just sleep until 5 and be there in advance. And so indeed, it was great because we didn't have to walk a mile or take a shuttle bus from a mall or any of that stuff.
We were right there. We had to sleep in a little bit extra.
And because we had the lithium system and stuff, we could actually have air conditioning.
So when I got done, after I got refreshed, I picked up, they had scrambled eggs there at the end, so I picked up some eggs, went back to the van in air conditioning and waited until I was tracking him, and then made my way back out to catch him finishing.
Yeah, and so the second, it got harder and harder to do the run walk pace. My 5:15 group just dissipated ahead of me that I'd been following along, and when I got to the turnaround, like the final 6.5 miles, that's when my legs were just starting to I was starting to lose the energy to accelerate. So the run walk was actually being really challenging. I could run and then I'd walk, but then it's hard to start running again, and it was getting dehydrated. It was, there's a lot of water stations, but it's just the sun was starting to beat and roast.
Once you exceed about 3.5 hours, I really recommend that you get nutrition and you
Yeah, we
So
had
we each
our
had belts.
with water.
These weren't just water. We used Tailwind, which is an electrolyte nutrition mix that goes into the water. So we were
Yep.
carrying that, supplementing with water at the water stations. Plus, he did these gel packs that give them extra nutrition and electrolytes.
Uh-huh. And I think I did a really good job of balancing my nutrition and hydration, but it was getting tough. And at one point, I was like, okay, I'm still. I've been aiming. My goal was somewhere between 5 and 6 hours to finish. And since my longest training run was 4 hours and 40 minutes, I knew I was really pushing it. And so I thought I did awesome the first half with the 5:15 group and had a great time in the first half. The pacer, one of the pacers with holding a 5:30 time, almost actually I think he literally bumped into me at one point and then passed me, and I'm like watching him disappear further and further ahead that 5:30 group, and I'm like, okay, I'm losing it. Every time I stop to walk, I'm having a hard time accelerating. So the final 2 miles or so, I just decided I'm just going to start running again, and I actually passed the pacers, passed that group, and
You finished right at 5 hours and 30 minutes.
Yep, I beat beat the group, and there, oh my god,
So that's the 5:33 there on the finish is the gun time.
gun time. You had to wait until you.
His bib time, because we were the last corral to start, so our bib time was actually 5:30.
Yeah, so that was I felt really good. I was very delirious, but made it. And there's us. Shri met me at the end and had bananas stuffed in her.
Yeah. I look at this photo. It's like, my
Your
upper
chest
chest
looks
seems
really
a little extra big on top of me. I'm large chested, but that looks a little extra big. I forgot I had stopped at the concession stands on the way in and picked up just food that I could carry for him. But I needed my hands for the camera, so I'd stuff the bananas in the top.
She's like, "Do you want a banana? Do you want some water?" She's like pulling these things.
Do you want candy? Do you want?
And I'm just like, I want a cold towel on my head, and I want something cold and refreshing. And the waters were warm, but then they had one of the sponsors was Florida Dairy Farmers, and they said chocolate milk is a great recovery drink. I'm like, sounds like I'll throw up, but I'll try it. And oh my god, it was so good. It just goes down. It was cold, the chocolate, and that was heaven.
So yeah, we hung out there for a little bit, cooled down, and then
had some beer pizza too.
Drove back after wrapping up a week on the road. So
there's our feet. I can't believe it. No injuries, hardly any blisters, really.
No, I have a little bit of chafing. I should have put in a little more Body Glide.
The Body Glide was a good
on
thing.
my back where my sports bra was hitting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was the heat was brutal. It really was. But we both met our goals.
Yeah, 5.5, right in the middle of between 5 and 6 hours, and just knowing that, hey, I could actually run 26.2 friggin' miles, and that we did it so well and rocked so well as a team is actually the ultimate best part.
Happy birthday.
Okay. Yeah.
I have to come up with I turn 50 next August, so I need to come up with something extra challenging for him.
Make it fun.
Yeah, that was a doozy of a birthday gift. I was hoping he would want to go on an exotic vacation, maybe get a sports car.
No,
something bungee jumping.
I got fancy shoes. I got good. We ended up both getting the same running shoes, and we got the same running. So yeah, that was fun to dive in together. We researched shoes, we researched belts, we researched goos. It's like it's been a joint project.
Yes, running is not cheap. Because of Excalibur. Anyway, great experience. Now, so Chris turned 50 on Friday. His 50th birthday present was running the marathon. I did get him. The other thing that on his 50th birthday, which is something we set in motion a year ago and actually trained up for, is we are now semi-retired.
Oh yeah, that's the other big semi-shift.
So since 2014, we've been running the Mobile Internet Resource Center. We have our channel over there tracking mobile internet options for RVers and boaters.
And for a while, it was eating our life. And with a little over a year and a half ago, we kind of realized that we needed to change the trajectory that was on because it was killing us. And
so yeah, we set in motion that we needed to. Our business model is not one that is easy for us to completely step away from, and nor do we want to. We love what we do. We love what we built, but we have a team that helps us. We have 6 folks who work with us, and we all had a powwow about this time last year and came up with a game plan for how they can take over
a lot of the day-to-day.
And so we don't have to be there every single day. We're not having to make all the decisions on what happens when Elon tweets that, or Verizon does that, or Wi-Fi Ranger announces that, or whatever.
So it can run without our constant input. So we are no longer working 7 days a week, every week of the year. And that's been the project for this past year. We kind of announced it. We made my birthday as the target date, and we've been transitioning and actually transitioned ahead of schedule to having our team handle a lot of stuff. And
Yeah,
now,
so our van trip over the summer, we kind of experimented with just letting them handle things that we normally would, and we managed to, I think, half time. So our goal now is from here on forward more like quarter time, probably 10 to 15 hours a week, but not much is going to change. So if you're one of our members of the Mobile and Resource Center, don't worry. If you've been
that's
happy with things
it.
for the last year, it's pretty much,
Yeah.
we've done it
Yeah,
kind of
we
seamlessly.
basically, one of the biggest changes we made is we batched up, because we'd have like all these meetings and video calls and all this stuff, and there'd be like one this day, and then like the next week there'd be one that day, and the next week this. So we could never have like time without stuff on our calendar. So now we've batched up all of our calendar commitments to 1 week, one very busy week a month of like, let's do all the meetings at once, and then we're
Actually,
on call for other ones.
It's only 2 or 3 days during that week. So
but busy days.
they're busy days. So we have like webinars we host and meetings with partners and things like that, and team meetings. But it's all at one time. So we just have to, we only have a couple days a month that we have to schedule around, instead of just constantly having the schedule of things that we have to keep on top of. So it's great. Officially, so the other team works. It's running this business and getting through it, and our team is amazing. Some of our team members have been with us now 5 or 6 years, and we did hire on a couple new ones in the last year to help really make sure we had duplicated efforts, so everyone knows multiple things, so that if someone needs time off, someone can come in, and it's not always us, but we're here too. So we're the backup team now instead of the primary team.
And then like a lot of the higher profile stuff, we'll still be front and center on it, but like all the day-to-day basic stuff, there's no reason for us to have to be front and center for everything. So hey, this is great.
So what are we going to do with all this new free time?
Boat projects.
Yes, boat projects. So we are, you may have heard in other updates, is we are intending to set out and restart the Great Loop this spring. But we're going to do it at the more typical looper pace and not try to spread it out over a decade. We're going to try to do it in 2 years, I think, and get up north and actually have 2 seasons up there, winterize the boat, return to RV next winter. But that means we're going to be keeping a more steady in motion pace than we had been.
Yeah, part of the reason we were looping so slowly is because we were working full time, and so we want to go to a cool town, and we don't want to have our experience at cool port town be, well, we spent all day in the office and went for a walk in the evening. So we'll be able to like focus on doing the touristy fun stuff and exploring and all that other interesting things too. So that is going to be one of our goals. And
so here on forward, we'll be working on boat projects, and we're just enjoying a more active personal life, more time with friends and family. We've been enjoying the heck out of Sanford here the last.
So many live theater plays and stuff.
Plays, concerts. We're constantly Sanfording out here. So it's been amazing just to say, hey, yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. Yeah, Mom, I can meet you at the zoo.
Being able to say yes to more of the fun stuff and no to more of the work stuff has been kind of a good shift, and getting our kind of priorities back in whack to focus on what really matters, I guess.
Yes, as far as videos for Technomania, we have a couple that we shot that we still need to produce. It's not getting done. I just don't know. And we'll see if the energy comes in. We've got one on biking and RVing. We still have an interview with Stinkpot that we had filmed. I got all sorts of ideas for stuff to do, but
we'll see.
We'll see. The energy for doing them is just not there.
I'm not even sure. Like when Cherie said, "Hey, let's do a live tonight," while the marathon experience is fresh in our mind, and I'm like, I can barely stand up. I want to take a nap, and just. Okay, I'll just figure out.
I figured if we waited 2 or 3 days, it would all be out of mind, out of sight.
Yeah.
This has been a pretty momentous weekend.
This has been a very momentous week and weekend and past week, and so I'm happy we did this live, and my energy rallied. I got my second win. I was like an hour ago. I'm like nap time. I've not really had very little sleep, and I gotta show you. You talk about closing
it's nice
our
seeing
rings.
all our friends in the chat room.
I know. Closing your rings. Well, today was a day of just making our rings spin in circles.
And my battery has just gone down to 10% again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. The other birthday present Cherie got me in advance was
What's a traditional retirement present? A new watch?
and after my long 60-mile training run, I think, or something, my watch ended the run with like 1% battery. My old Apple Watch 6, and the Ultra had just come out. It's like, oh, maybe an Ultra for running long distances, so you don't have to, And I'm very happy with it. It actually worked great. I finished the marathon with like 45% battery, and it worked great. Yeah, I love the big screen, and so yeah, that was the other birthday present, is a watch upgrade.
Yes, and we are going to keep with the running. We're not going to be necessarily training for more half marathons and marathons, but we are going to keep training schedule up.
Yeah, because
I'm going to work more on longer distance, increasing that 20 to 30 seconds to maybe a minute. We'll see what I can do.
Yeah, and I guess on my running bucket list that of things I never thought I'd be able to do a couple of years ago. It's like, well, I once ran a 5K under 30 minutes, and now I'm like running that regularly. And I was like, maybe I could run a 10K in an hour. So that
Yeah,
might
so
be a
yeah,
goal.
we're going to keep working on that.
Yeah.
Probably our long runs will be 10K ish.
10K, but yeah, it's kind of special to get up and do those early morning. Let's run for a long distance thing. So we'll probably still play with some long distance stuff, and maybe we'll sign up for something long in the future. But don't ask us today.
Yes, yes. So that's our update. Been a momentous weekend. Great shift here as we come to the end of 2022, and yeah. I don't know if there's any questions folks have for us. We're happy to field some if you have any, but get them up here.
Yeah, we
pretty
love
quick.
seeing so many familiar faces popping here in the chat.
A lot of great friends in this chat room.
And yeah, we haven't paid too much attention to what's been flowing by, so but it has been some really friendly names that we love seeing here. So and actually Elliot had an answer for what we can do with the medals, is donate them to a group that gifts them to kids on chemo. And then what do the kids on chemo do with them?
They get medals.
Can they wear these in the MRI machines, I guess, to defend? I don't know. That's an interesting idea. Okay, you'll have to let us know, because we every
it's better
race,
than putting them in Goodwill.
Yes. And what else? And Captain Chris says, give them to a mom to store when you move into a dirt house. But when we move into a dirt house, what are we going to use these for? And if we move into a dirt house, I don't know why we'd want a dirt house. Our house is dirty enough sometimes.
It is a dirt house. After all that running, our shoes.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I don't think there are any questions.
Okay. No questions. But thank you, guys. And yeah, it's great. Oh, Stinkpot's there. Yes. We'll be seeing Stinkpot, Dave Rowe, Stinkpot performing in Sanford coming up.
Yes, so Stinkpot is back in the area. They could not get down here to Sanford
because too many slips were destroyed, so no room at the inn for them.
But they're as close as they could get up in Astor, which is about 40 miles north of us. But he has bookings here in Sanford at Sullivan's Irish Pub. I think his next dates are December 16th and 17th. We will be there on the 17th with family.
Yep.
And
so check out DaveRoweMusic.com if you want to find his tour dates as he's back in Florida.
And yeah, he'll have tour dates all through next year as well, and hopefully popping up in other places. Amazing singer songwriter, you got to catch him. And boater friend.
We actually have a running question.
Okay.
As a novice runner myself, I'm curious how your fueling strategy has changed as you've added miles to your average run. I'm not sure I had so much of a strategy.
On the shorter runs, just didn't really do anything. We'd go out for 30 minutes, an hour, and come back and drink lots of water.
Yeah. And I generally find I could do 10K without needing water along with me and stuff. But once we started going longer, we got the belts and would carry goo, and because the research says that you need something to replace it, particularly after about 3 hours or so.
3.5 hours is when your body runs out of the glucose, and so you need to be replacing it along. Since I was training for a half marathon and aiming for under 3.5 hours, I didn't go. I couldn't bring up the nerve to try these.
They're
I
actually
probably
good. I
should.
like them.
He
I
says
liked all the ones I've tried so far.
so. I did instead of ultra runner friend of mine. She loves Tailwind, which is a powder that you put in the water, and so it's electrolyte drink. So I did
With
that
calories
instead.
too and stuff.
With
yeah.
calories. So I was fueling with that. It definitely, as we got beyond doing the 4 and 6 mile runs, it helped us stay out there longer for sure.
And further, I guess the race today, the little small print on the side of the package says, take one every 45 minutes. So that's basically what I did. Is every 45 minutes I'd have one, and they were giving away. I never tried the Goo brand. That was what they were giving away on the race course after mile 8. They had at all the water stops. They had buckets of these you can grab, or they'd hand you.
But you try the SIS, which he really likes, and we also did Huma, HUMA. Which has chia seeds and it's more of a holistic one.
Yeah.
So you liked them all, but the SIS you said you liked.
Yeah, the SIS, the particularly the other SIS, the orange ones we have, are they have their fluid mixed in with them, so you don't need to add water in a sense. You have the goo, and you don't need to drink of water immediately. Whereas, like this goo, it just kind of like peanut butter in your mouth, and you need to have some water to wash it down. It tastes good, and it's got a good texture, and just suck it in, but you want to mix it with water. So, but this whole fueling thing is new. I mean, up until just a few weeks ago, we never even considered, oh, you need fuel to run? Wait, that's new.
Don't they just deliver you pizzas on the trail?
Yeah.
Okay, so Amanda has a question about if our travel plans will change with retirement aside from doing the Great Loop. So the Great Loop we'll do over the next 2 years, and I'm really bad at predicting even next week, never mind 2 years. I know we still like being places for a while and having kind of a home base for a while and getting to know places and have friends and things like that. And I think that we'll probably still embrace that. And then we also have Kiki is now 14, and we still choose travel methods that she can do with us. But one day her life expectancy will catch up, and after that happens, I'm sure that we'll start embracing other styles of travel, doing more international, maybe cruise ships, canal boats. I just was reading our friend Nina and Paul just did a canal trip with some friends in France.
There's a lot of international stuff.
A lot of stuff that's on the bucket list. So retirement will definitely enable that, as well as not having a cat to have to. But we don't look forward to that day. We hope that's a long time away. But
and Kiki did good. She helped us get a good night's sleep last night.
Oh, she was a massive
she was a
cuddler.
great snuggler. And also, actually, one other thing, we managed to distract ourselves. So we're in Coco. We picked up our packets at 5 o'clock. And we're like, okay, well, there's a good Thai restaurant there. We can have dinner and stuff ourselves with food. But we were walking down the street, and there's Peter Pan, the beautiful Coco Village Playhouse was that night. It was like, let's go see a play. That'll keep us from sitting and fretting. So we actually saw live theater last night.
Yep, right down
to keep us from fretting about pacing back and forth, waiting to do the race. So saw a play, had some good Thai food, got a good sleep with the cat on top of us. We're up at 5, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Helen has how do you count the timing for run-walk intervals?
So Chris is using an app that does intervals and gives him a tap.
It buzzes on my wrist.
To don't let him know what his 90, you're doing 90-30s, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you the way not to do it, and I discovered this very unfortunately.
I'm taking this off.
Yes, it's getting
My neck
heavy.
hurts.
My neck is hurting. So Apple, the latest version of WatchOS, has intervals you could program, and I was doing that for my longer training runs where it was doing, the watch would tell me interval, work, run, and there's a bug in iOS that it takes. So when I did my 22-hour training run with that method,
22 mile, not hour.
22. Well, okay, so I did a 22-mile training run. It took over 24 hours for my watch to process that workout, and in the time it was processing that workout, even rebooting it, there was no way to abort. There was no record of the workout. The watch wasn't recording any more additional stuff. It wasn't recording my regular walking around during the day and all that. So I quickly learned, don't use Apple's interval feature for long workouts. It's broken.
Yep.
It's a bug.
Yeah. For me, I haven't quite gotten that the interval app that he's using. He just found it like a week before, and I didn't want to change my training up. But what I do is I have the running workout going, and I just monitor the seconds. So I look at it, 20 seconds.
So the
And I,
top of the minute is
yeah,
like
and
one.
sometimes I'm 19 seconds, sometimes I'm 45
Yeah.
seconds. But it's fine. I listen to my body more so, and I'm also still watching my heart rate like a hawk, and because my heart rate, can mostly go in an endurance zone like zone 3, through most of his run. I still am in zone 4, and I'm trying to avoid
Not get too
redlining.
hard, yeah.
So I'm still watching that, and so I'm more judging. It's like, okay, I'm getting up, my heart rate's getting up into the high zone 4, and it's starting to poke into zone 5. I need to back it down some more. So I'm still in that phase of my training whereas you're more on, your body knows how to deal with endurance now.
Yeah,
Much-
apparently
much
it's
better.
really changed. It's
Yeah.
definitely been interesting to observe the results, but
I will get there. I'm
yeah.
only 2.5 months into
yeah.
this.
Oh, I know. And yeah, so the little interval app I'm using, it just runs on the watch and it buzzes it'll buzz after 30 seconds and then it'll buzz after 90 seconds. Buzz, buzz, and that was working just fine. I wasn't even paying attention to the screen. I'll just pay attention to the buzzes on the wrist. But a lot of people there's a lot of interval apps out there and stuff. So
Yep.
I'll have to.
And the weight loss and from running or diet. And Chris has had, you've probably lost now, what, 30, 40 pounds?
Since starting to close my rings in the last 2 years.
Yeah, since we decided it was, so like I said, at the end of 2020 when we decided to no longer make Instapot cheesecakes and try to perfect that and close our rings every single day. We were both at our highest weights ever. I'm down about 15 pounds since then. You're down about 30, 40.
Yeah, something like that.
So a lot of it's just shifting more to an active lifestyle. And once you do so, the diet kind of follows in. We haven't really done any specific, like we're following a diet.
Yeah. We've done diets in the past and they come and go, but
we decided instead to adopt a healthy lifestyle instead of something like strict. But we tend to mostly eat more Mediterranean, where we're having fish several times a week with a vegetable as a side. But we also have a quart of ice cream in there from your birthday that we'll be finishing this week, I'm sure too.
Yeah.
So we don't we're not strict on a diet, but we try to generally eat healthy.
And my actually most of that weight loss was a year ago, and then I've been kind of plateaued for the past year until we started running 3 times a week. So going from running once a week to running 3 times a week has started my weight down again.
Yep, and mine's starting to drop a little too. So definitely picking up the training pace, and because we're burning more calories, we're having our heart rates in zone 3 and 4 for probably an hour or 2 every week at minimum, probably 2 hours a week every minimum. So that's definitely helping both of ours. But we're also building muscle. So the weight loss, people have said we both look like we've lost lots of weight.
Oh yeah.
But my weight has been very plateaued for the last 5 or 6 months. But it's shifting more to weight. I mean to muscle.
Your calves are like rock star calves right now.
So.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're caught up on questions. I'm sure we are going to sleep so freaking soundly tonight. Oh my god.
If you are contemplating doing anything like picking up a new exercise routine, obviously do your research, talk with physicians, know your body. Don't
homework,
just do what we did. We are no way endorsing that what we did is sane or safe, but it worked for us.
Ramping up. This was much saner than when we did the last time and ramped up in 8 days. I signed up for the marathon.
That was stupid.
That was stupid. and it definitely, I mean, I ran the entire time. That 11 years ago, I ran the whole thing. But oh my god! Like you had a blister the size of Texas on your foot. I could barely. Neither one of us could barely walk.
I had an eye twitch for weeks from electrolyte imbalance.
Yeah. So we really bit off way more than we could chew. Now, this training thing works because we both kind of rock this. No injuries, no weird feelings. My legs. Every time I feel a little weird twinge in my legs, I just adjust my stride a little bit, and overall felt great finishing. It's.
Amanda, funny. When's the next marathon?
If we do make it to Jacksonville, the Gate River Run is not a marathon. It's just 15K, which now suddenly seems easy, and that would be a fun one because there's like 20 bands all along the route, and it's apparently one of the most fun, just big fun runs in the city.
Yes, apparently after you do a marathon, that's when you start talking about an ultra. And an ultra is anything more than 26.2 miles.
Usually 50K, which is 30-something-ish miles, is where most people think of.
So Mom wants to know, where did I get the shirt? They gave it to me for running the race.
Yes, this is the official race shirt.
This is the official race shirt. So you've got launch facilities, you've got rockets going up your arms.
And in addition to the medal, we also got one other gift. Okay. I'm still not moving super fast.
Yeah. And it's got like so this is the Mariner satellite was the theme of this one. So you've got that. And then the back is got all the sponsors on it. So it's the official race shirt. They gave it to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got the race shirt whether you finished or not. The medal's only if you finish, and the finisher towel if you finish, and and it's also got the Mariner 4 on it. I appreciate the geekiness of it all.
Most everyone, a lot of people are wearing NASA shirts or space shirts. So super fun.
Some people were wearing costume, and there were like people with astronaut outfits on the side cheering. I really appreciated all the people who were cheering, particularly the people who stuck around and cheered, not just for the ultra runners who are doing this in like 3 hours and like whipping by, but some people were not finishing for 7 hours, and that's hardcore because that's a long time to be out there, and people were out on the side of the streets cheering.
All right, I think I'm ready to wind down for the night.
Oh yes, we are going to sleep well. So we didn't make any little outro video or anything, so we're just going to wave goodbye here, and we will see you guys. Thank you for joining us on this impromptu live with last minute stuff. And I did say Elliot mentioned that Anne was blushing. Anne, you should be blushing. You are an inspiration.
Thank you, Anne.
Yes. Yes.
And thank you she kept texting me, giving me all sorts of inspiration too.
Yes,
She's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and they were just here.
And they were guests.
They just week and a half ago, I think, last weekend. They were here sitting on the couch.
Yeah, we're like, tell us tips of the tips of this run walk run thing that you do. We will be your Padawan, you Jedi Master. Tell us how you do this. Okay. Bye.
All right, guys. See y'all later.